And while I think that it's important for journalists in general to ask tough questions, it should be done in a respectful way.
But she was asking a question. But she was asking a question. You're saying you don't like the president saying that to her. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying I think there should be respect from both sides. I think a respectful question also then would get a respectful reply. And so as reporters, I think it's up to us to ask questions in a tone that would require a respectful response. And I think it's unfortunate that it eroded into what we just saw. Okay. That's all I got.
I kind of enjoyed the sparkle. You guys, War Room. War Room is that sparkle, not fire, sparkle. War Room is up next. Hug your children, love God, go boldly. Live the truth. We'll see you.
We gotta be better, guys. We all gotta be better.
Sparkle.
We got bling. We got bling.
Not a training problem. The guy that executed, the agent that executed Alex had years under ICE with training. The reality is that the agency under Department of Homeland Security was created to have qualified immunity in the name of protecting us from domestic terrorism. We created this agency. Before 2003, we didn't have ICE. They didn't operate the way they do. What you're seeing CBP agents do in interior cities like Chicago, like Minnesota, they have been doing to immigrants for a very long time, except there were no phones or whistles to be able to protect them. This is exactly why we have to stop talking about basic reforms. Or, Christine, I'm talking about body cameras that they're not going to release footage for. Marimar is demanding for footage to show what they did to her. The point is we need to melt ICE. We can't talk about a reform of basics. The people are demanding we stop the killing of people, the abduction of children. My bill will prohibit detention, the monitoring you're seeing, and redirect the money that they're using, the billions of dollars, to put back into the communities that have been most impacted.
Exactly did you mean when you said that you should nationalize elections? And which 15 states are you talking about?
I want to see elections be honest. And if a state can't run an election, I think the people behind me should do something about it. Because, you know, if you think about it, a state is an agent for the federal government in elections. I don't know why the federal government doesn't do them anyway. The federal government should get involved. These are agents of the federal government to count the votes. If they can't count the votes legally and honestly, then somebody else should take over.
The Constitution says it should be states that administer elections, Mr. President.
Yeah, you know what? They can administer the election, but they have to do it honestly.
When the executive says, let's nationalize the elections, and he goes even a step further and says, let's nationalize the elections and let's have Republicans, a part of, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, when you start talking about having a particular party take control of elections, you are not talking about election integrity. So you can talk voter ID all the livelong day. You're not talking about election integrity. You're actually talking about, and you quoted the exact provision, Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution. You're talking about going contra to the Constitution. And so when your press secretary stands there and says, and has to reassure America that the President of the United States believes in the Constitution.
But of course she doesn't reassure America because of the fateful word, however.
That's absolutely right. The proposals that are out there are solutions in search of problems, which is to say, voter ID does poll very well, but unless you implement that kind of a program in a way that ensures that you're not disenfranchising exponentially more people than you would be preventing from committing voter fraud, which is vanishingly rare. In the state of Georgia, where all this is going on, 8.2 million registered voters. They found 20 individuals who were non-citizens who were registered, probably by mistake. 9 of them tried to vote. Now, those 9 individuals, they might have a little bit of a problem on their hands.
9
out of 8.2 million. We are talking about solutions that cause problems on a scale that is unimaginable. We don't put a dome over the country because people occasionally get struck by lightning. The consequences would be pretty severe.
Americans are being snatched up in the streets. Children are being detained. Like, I want the people to be in my email tonight and ask me, why am I yelling? I'm yelling because this is insane. So What the hell are Democrats doing? I'm very glad the hearing happened today. The hearing only happened because of Democrats. But this is not a training issue. The agency has a problem, and Secretary Noem seems unable to address the issue. So Congress has to address it.
That's exactly right. And look, I have said since April, I was the very first member of Congress to call for her resignation. I don't care if she resigns, if Trump fires her, she's impeached. We need further accountability after she's impeached, by the way. But the point is, you can get rid of her and put Tom Homan, the corrupt leader, the border czar who's taken thousands of dollars in bribes. It's not going to change if you just start swapping people. The system itself is rotten, and the American people are yelling and asking Congress, what the hell are you going to do to keep me alive in this precise moment? They're shackling black and brown bodies around the country, and instead of putting a stop, you're going to minimize our pain to say, well, if we do a little bit more training, but we'll still give them more money. How do you possibly sleep at night knowing that your own constituents are living in fear?
Republicans have long said that they opposed any sort of changes to what Democrats wanted to do to the elections, to make more access to the ballot box, to enable more people to vote, because they said that it would be a nationalization, a federalization of the elections. That was a huge fight that almost led to Senate then Majority Leader Chuck Schumer to try to change the filibuster under the Biden administration. And now you have a president of the opposite party who is worried about keeping control of the House of Representatives because he is worried about being impeached, talking about nationalizing the elections and many more things we might add, including talking about getting rid of mail-in ballots. There's a lot of fears that he would invoke the Insurrection Act ahead of the midterms as well. Some of those are fears, but it's this broader theme stuff of what people, especially Democrats, are worried about what the president can do leading into the midterm elections. There's a group of House Democrats, Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries is talking with some committee chairs, including Jamie Raskin, about ways to preempt and to respond to the president's attempts to try to undercut the midterm elections. They don't have specific plans yet, but they are on guard and they're very much aware of this. Now, will Republicans, back to your original question, try to stand up to this? Who knows? We are in this upside down world where left means right and right means left. If they were consistent, they would, but we're living in Donald Trump's America right now, so who knows?
Given this increase in unprecedented collaboration, and as a result of the need for less law enforcement officers to do this work in a safer environment, I have announced effective immediately we will draw down 700 people effective today. 700 law enforcement personnel. We have also fully integrated CBP personnel into the ICRO team structure under one unified chain of command. Not two chains of command, there'd be one chain of command here. Any large enforcement operation I've ever been involved with, there's one chain of command, and that's where we're moving forward.
This is the primal scream of a dying regime. Pray for our enemies, because we're going medieval on these people. You're just not got a free shot on all these networks lying about the people. The people have had a belly full of it. I know you don't like hearing that. I know you try to do everything in the world to stop that, but you're not going to stop it. It's going to happen.
And where do people like that go to share the big lie? MAGA media. I wish, in my soul, I wish that any of these people had a conscience.
Ask yourself, what is my task and what is my purpose? If that answer is to save my country, this country will be saved.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
It's Wednesday, 4 February, year of our Lord 2026. And, Tom Homan's a good man. And we've got Tom Homan's back.
and he's doing trying to do his best job possible in a very difficult situation. But folks, we're kind of in an inflection point now, and this is where this fight's really going to get tough. I kept telling you that we haven't seen the tough part yet. We're starting to enter part of the tough phase, and I beseech the Trump administration, people around President Trump, home and the vice president, et cetera, you can't put a smiley face on this. Let's just be direct. I would like to see the definition, and I understand the chain of command and unifying the chain. That's all fine. That's an internal thing. And that's a shot at Bovino. And Bovino is a good man and did a good job. And there's no need to take a shot like that to him, okay? It's not necessary. We don't have enough good guys on our side for the team to be taking shots at each other. And Bovino's still my guy. I'll just say it. What Bovino was doing was the right thing. Because eventually you got to get to mass deportations. Unprecedented collaboration. I would have liked to have seen a few details on that, Brother Homan. Unprecedented collaboration, because I can just tell you, we curate, and this is why we make sure the War Room Posse, and I want to thank the team, my team at War Room, producer team, and the Real America Voice Squad out in Denver for another magnificent cold open, which I know irks everybody, but you need to see it. Unprecedented collaboration. Unprecedented collaboration. Hochul, the governor of New York, just said there will be no cooperation between law enforcement in one of the biggest states in the union and ICE or Customs and Border, et cetera. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe behind the scenes it's unprecedented collaboration. Fry and Waltz still have, so if it's unprecedented collaboration enough to draw down 700, which is a drawdown, and they will interpret it the way it's interpreted symbolically, will be as a retreat. Let's put forward let's get some data before we announce the 700. What's the unprecedented collaboration? Are we actually getting into the prisons and the jails in Minnesota? I keep hearing that. And maybe what they're doing is giving you the times a day they're going to release these criminals. That's fine. How many criminals have been released into ICE custody? How many have actually been giving you the time so that they won't turn it over? And if they're not turning it over and they're just giving you the time the guy's released, I would not consider that unprecedented. Was it collaboration? Unprecedented. I think people would feel a lot more comfortable that we're on the path of getting the bad hombres, because remember, the triage is bad hombre, worst of the worst. And normally that's a phrase that says we're not going to do mass deportation, but worst of the worst. And then the rest of the criminals, and then mass deportations. There's a video out yesterday from O'Keefe. Now, people at FBI are saying, hey, these are disgruntled guys, et cetera. But there's a guy in O'Keefe's tape that says there's never going to be an arrest on the Somalians. There's never going to be court cases. They're never going to get perp walked. Maybe he's wrong. Maybe he's disgruntled. But I certainly haven't seen FBI come out and counter that. Now, maybe they don't think it's enough to counter. I would strongly recommend. James O'Keefe has a big following. Ed Martin has a big following. These are people that come from MAGA. These are people that MAGA support. Bovino has a big following. I think there has to be an organization of this message and continue to tell us that there's unprecedented cooperation on people that don't look like, not only don't look like they're cooperating at all, but are in your face about cooperating. Here's what's happened. We to keep the government open, which I don't think is any big deal, close it down. And I just don't think, and I haven't seen the math from Treasury, I haven't seen the math from NEC, I haven't seen the math that tells me the government shutdown is catastrophic about our growth. The growth is is unprecedented what President Trump has done. Unprecedented. But yesterday, what happened when Caroline Wren was here in studio with me, and we talked about, hey, there's going to be, yes, you have to nationalize them, because if you can't run these elections, and Cleta Mitchell is going to be on here in some report on Georgia, that shows you'll throw up in your mouth when you see how the Georgia election was run in Fulton County. If you can't do it, certainly we're not going to allow illegal aliens and all these phony refugees and amnesty programs, all this crap, to come there and vote and keep you in office. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings. I'm sorry if you're going to throw your toys out of the pram. It's going to happen. We're never going to allow this country just to be stolen from us and not do anything about it. No. That was the old Republican Party. That's the guys on Capitol Hill. So what have we done? We've kept the government open. We've taken our leverage. We now have a Senate, the feckless Senate. We didn't pass this. We didn't pass the SAVE Act. We didn't pass the Save America Act. We didn't pass the Make Elections Great Again. None of the three that Chip talked about yesterday. Nothing went forward. And now we have a situation with Schumer, and Schumer just put out that all those acts I just talked about were Jim Crow laws. Voter ID to purge the rolls of the 8 million to 20 million bad, the people that not supposed to vote, and to put some restrictions like signature guarantees, signature verification on the mail-in ballots. He says those are Jim Crow laws. Now we're going to debate DHS, of which we already gave up the body cameras. Somehow I'm confused on our strategy here. Short break. Mike Howe, Frank Gaffney next.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
I'm Patriot Mermaid, and I'm from West Haven, Connecticut. When the mainstream media wasn't giving us the truth, I went and looked for the truth and found it on Real America's Voice. Come and join us. Come on.
My name is TJ Ash from Carbondale, Utah. Real America's Voice lets me express my conservative views without censorship or editing.
Hello, this is Hockey Nut from Weyerhaeuser, Wisconsin. Just saying, tune in to Real America's Voice for the truth.
Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Hey, welcome back. We are supportive. We're very supportive. But we're supportive of the outcomes the president wants for the country. And what the president wants for the country is to have free and fair elections. We're never going to allow to happen what happened in 2020. It's the biggest crime this country's ever had. And you see the debacle that you have it now with this whole fiasco about having to get 15 to 20, according to the president, 25 million illegal alien invaders out. the whole fiasco in Ukraine, the whole fiasco in Gaza, the whole fiasco in the Middle East and Latin America, everywhere. The debt out of control. The railhead all goes back to the chaos makers of the stolen election and putting in Biden, a controlled, something the deep state can control, into the White House is enfeebled. That's not happening again. And yes, you're going to have ICE people around the ballot box. I don't care if Bill Kristol and these guys, all these weak-kneed Republicans that got us in all these foreign wars and destroyed the country and now are just sycophants for the Democrats and anti-Trump. So listen, I would love to sit there and go, Tom Homan, that's amazing. I feel it, the unprecedented cooperation. Let's just draw down 700 in Minnesota. No. Make the mathematical case of what the unprecedented cooperation is, and maybe it is. Maybe we're just missing it. Maybe the state prisons and the jails and Fry and Waltz are just bending over backwards to cooperate, and maybe we're getting to the bad hombres and we're picking them up. Haven't seen it on tape. They don't talk about it on MSNBC. Maybe that's it. And if we make that case, you say, hey, let's redeploy those assets someplace else. But until that time, you should surge again. Mike Howe, are we being unfair about this? Because now we're in a situation that Schumer's in charge of the negotiations. They got a list of things. They want to do away with ICE. Frank Gaffney's going to join in a minute. Gaffney came up with her thing. It's defund the police 2.0. That's where we are. They want to field strip ICE. You saw it. That's what we played. What's up on CNN and MSNBC overnight. They want to do away with ICE. They want to melt ICE out. They're drawing a hard line. We need to draw a harder line. Brother Mike Howe, what do you got?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Look, there's no time to be anything but absolutely honest given the urgency of the situation. And I take no joy in saying this, but the reason why Tom Homan, good friend, I still believe in him, was sent to Minneapolis was because he had the most credibility with the base and the America First movement that wants mass deportation. So they sent him there to manage what only can be called a retreat. That's what it is. There are no numbers that could come out to justify this quote unquote deal. It is a fundamental inversion of federal immigration authority by empowering Governor Walz and Jacob Frey. And I didn't vote for Governor Walz or Kamala Harris. I voted for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. The fact that he's in charge to some extent of immigration enforcement, unacceptable. And let's get back to a basic principle. And this is going to break a lot of brains, but this is what Lindsey Graham is trying to have President Trump walk the plank on. Sanctuary cities are not that important of a part of this equation. Of course, ICE should be able to go into jails and get those people, but we're talking about a very small subset of illegals. Not that many. They won't get you to mass deportations. The illegals in Minneapolis, they're on farms, in factories, in the no-go zone slums. That's where ICE needs to be, and Border Patrol. And the reason why you need roving patrols, as they call them, is because the illegals are roving.
So the situation we're in, let's talk about then the negotiation. We basically, Polly Pockets in the crowd agreed to fund the entire government except for DHS. They did not, correct me if I'm wrong, there's no SAVE Act because, Thune is just too busy, I'm too tired. So no SAVE Act, no Save America Act, no Make America Elections Great Again. So none of the three acts that would cover anything or some, subset of that. None of that we've passed, so they're fully funded. Yet we carved out DHS, and at DHS, Schumer comes out. I think it's on Real Clear Politics with everything that we asked for are Jim Crow, and in fact, ICE are like the brown shirts to enforce Jim Crow laws about voter ID, purge the voter rolls of people that are not eligible, and to have some modicum of controls over signature verification on mail-in ballots, which 85% of the American people agree with. And now we're in a situation, we've given up on the body cameras. They want judicial warrants. They want no immunity for the ICE officers, for the agents. They want to unmask people, on and on. And in 2 weeks, if we haven't conceded, They're just going to shut down ICE. They're going to say, okay, ICE doesn't get funded. They're going to walk away. I'm missing where our upside is, because they want to defund DHS. They've got insane demands that we can never agree to. Plus, they just say, well, if you're not going to agree to them, you're not going to meet us halfway, we're just going to shut it down. Then we have no funding at all. This is my point. Am I missing anything here, Hal? But just tell me, no, Steve, you're not thinking of this. This is the light at the end of the tunnel.
No, you nailed it. The one variable I would say is they're not really negotiating with Democrats. They're negotiating with the rhinos in the Republican Party who would vote with the Democrats. They're trying to give them cover on this type of thing. They did not need Democrats if they wanted to package all these bills together and force them to say either you shut down the whole government or not. They could have made that move. But Thune did not make that move because he's got a lot of members on the Republican side that want to hide and do want to do the things that Democrats want, like limiting the scope of operations dramatically by these warrant requirements, or demasking ICE agents who wear the mask because they're being threatened with death threats every day. There is a domestic insurgency going after them. They know if they take off the masks, these people are going to get killed. And so that's why they want to do it. It'll demoralize. It'll make it impossible to recruit and retain. And that's what Republicans want to give in to. And that is the problem right now, that the America First movement, 10 years in, is not being used to advance the core principles it's set out to, but to protect the so-called moderate centrists who we all know are just left-wingers and their re-elections, because they're the majority makers. And I didn't sign up to get Mike Lawler protected as the scion of the America First movement. No, we signed up and voted for mass deportations. And if you know what, they don't get the funding and there's a shutdown, the Insurrection Act's on the table. The one big beautiful bill money is still available. Time to open up the scope and do what the president set out to do. I'm not talking about just worst of the worst. We're talking about mass deportations, an equal and opposite reaction, at least, to the invasion this country suffered under 4 years of Biden and the many years before.
So Mike Howe, in his infinite wisdom, has pointed us to potentially the light at the end of the tunnel. You're saying President Trump is showing the nation, and particularly showing the swing voters, which midterm elections are not about swing voters. Don't believe this is about base turnout in massive numbers. Okay, just like they turfed President Trump out in 2018 with Nancy Pelosi. It ain't swing voters. It is base elections. So you don't have to sit here and play patty cake with independent voters. You got to turn your base out in unprecedented numbers. You're saying President Trump, by having Homan pull back some numbers now, they definitely take the heat down on the streets in the video, negotiate with the Democrats, show how over the top they are, how all they want to do is strip ICE. If they defund, if they at the end of the day say, well, we just can't make a deal, guess what? It's just going to stay defunded and you have to shut it down. That will give President Trump full justification, being that he's bent over backwards. He's done everything he possibly could. These people are so recalcitrant. They're so focused on destroying America. And as Cleta Mitchell is about to show in a second in Georgia, they basically steal elections, which is unquestioned, that President Trump will then have full justification to invoke the Insurrection Act, and then we can draw the cash from other, particularly the $170 billion that we already passed previously. Is that your path out of here?
Yeah, those options are on the table. We're developing a roadmap to prove to the country something that is obvious to a lot of people in the immigration enforcement community, that it is tremendously easy, actually, logistically and through infrastructure and the funding available, to get to at least 1 million deportations this year. 2 commas in the numbers. And as you said, I think that's what the base needs if they're going to turn out in the midterms, is to see the numbers go up. We didn't vote for Governor Walz to actually end up being in charge of national immigration policy. We voted against it, and he won't need the votes of any of the weak Republicans in the Senate or the House to do those things. They all are uniquely within his authority. It's time not to just listen. It's not even, Steve, as you said, about this so-called independent voter. It's about the donors behind these people. Let's be honest about that. They don't like it. It's distasteful for them. There's other corporate interests they would like to see prioritized and pursued. They want their cheap labor safe. That's what this is really about at the end of the day. And we, the people, have had a belly full of it. And we're organizing now. I'm going to have news to share in the coming weeks. We are going to be loud. We are going to be proud. We are going to help President Trump achieve the mission that sent him to the White House for mass deportations. He promised to be better than Eisenhower. He's not yet. He can be, and I think he will be, and we got his back.
And we're going to have his back because it's not simply Walz and Fry that are in charge, or Hochul or Amendami. It's Lindsey Graham and John Thune and all these weak-kneed Republicans in the Senate and the Mike Lawlers in the House and Polly Pockets, the whole crowd. None of them will make a tough call. They've surrounded President Trump, and we're going to have to take the machetes and chop our way in here. Hal, where do the people go on social media and where do they go to your site to follow this closely?
Yeah, check us out at It's Your Gov. Our website's itsyourgov.org, and I'm on X at mhaltweets.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We got so much to get through this morning. Cleta Mitchell is going to be here. There's a report out on Georgia. I want her to hit the highlight reels. I want you to read this report. This is what the reality is of Fulton County and how Georgia, how sectors of Georgia run the elections. It's revolting. Okay, and this is why President Trump is going to have to nationalize the elections, because people are in these counties, right? These sanctuary cities and these big Democratic counties are just going to continue to try to steal elections. Frank Gaffney's also here. We had the huge announcement yesterday of the Sharia caucus. Frank Gaffney's come up and said, hey, look, if you look at what's happening, it's just defund the police 2.0 as far as ICE goes. Terry Schilling, huge federal court victory in the radical transgender ideology. Matt Walsh has got a tweet out that says, hey, look, I think this is the way the whole system collapses. We're going to get Schilling up here, a lot to get through. Take your phone and text Bannon, Bannon, at 989898. You get the ultimate guide for investing in gold and precious metals in the age of Trump. You don't want to miss this. Gold, I think, back over 5,000, banging all over the place. You need to talk to Philip Patrick and the team today. It's not the price, it's the process.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in, be counted, be heard. Together, we are RAV.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting started.
It's Stacy from Texas. I watch Real America's Voice because I need to learn, and I know I can get the truth through RAV. God bless everyone, and always love the children. Amen. It's Stacy from Texas. I watch Real America's Voice because I need to learn, and I know I can get the truth through RAV. God bless everyone, and always love the children. Amen.
My name is Tina, and I'm in Dallas, Texas. I'm so grateful to be able to get my news from an organization like Real America's Voice, whose conservative values align with my own.
Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, John Thune, this is breaking right now. Senator Thune said this morning he's still waiting for a formal offer from Dems on DHS funding. Said he would be open to another 2 or 3 weeks CR on this if it looks like there's actual progress. There won't be progress unless if we surrender. Yeah, sure, there's going to be progress. If you stick up for the country, it's not going to be progress. They're going to say no. They want to shut down. Frank Gaffney. I want to take this a little different order. I'm going to get to Cleveland in a second because I want to use that as the power piece at the end of this. So you can see the fiasco the president's dealing with. Frank, you called this defund the police 2.0. What do you mean by that?
Well, as you said earlier, Steve, in 2020, the pretext of the Floyd death was used to mount violent attacks on not just government property and private property, but law enforcement personnel. And the result of all of that was this huge effort to blame the police for the problem and say they needed to be defunded. Well, if that doesn't sound like deja vu all over again at the moment, I don't know what this is. The law enforcement personnel who are doing their assigned missions as well as they can under extraordinarily difficult circumstances, to say nothing of life-threatening circumstances in some cases, are now being told we need to defund them effectively. I mean, whether it's disarming them or simply dismantling any protection that they have from being doxxed and thereby having not only their own lives put at risk, but their families. I mean, the question has to be asked, Steve. Not only is this, defund the police 2.0, who are we thinking are going to do these jobs under these circumstances? It is, just as was the first go-round, predictably the case that you will see people bailing out of ICE, people refusing to work under these job conditions, people making the eminently sensible decision that if we don't have their back, they're out of there. And then where are we? And I just have to say, Steve, I did a commentary this morning, I think you're referring to it, about this being a moment when actually we need ICE more than ever. And it's not just because of the so-called worst of the worst, the gangbangers and the drug cartels and this. I'm worried sick about what we are told is multiple divisions worth of Chinese soldiers who were brought in across Joe Biden's open borders. And what Sam Faddis has just written up at Ann Magazine, one of his stupendous pieces, informed by his own experience in his last duty station at the Central Intelligence Agency, where he was responsible for countering weapons of mass destruction terrorism. And he's warning about the second biowarfare laboratory by the same guy who had the first one, and possibly they think there may be 20 more of these things. You put those Chinese soldiers in positions to use bioweapons that, according to Sam, maybe have a mortality rate of 60 to 90%. You're talking about mass destruction of the United States, the population, and that's what the blood of will be on the hands of these Democrats and some Republicans who are trying to get rid of ICE. We need them more than ever now.
They don't care. They'd rather keep the 20 million. That's how they keep power. We're going to have Sam, also some other specialists. This thing in Nevada with these labs is just a carry-on to what was happening before and couldn't be more lethal. We're Tom Homan. I love Tom Homan, but brother, you got to put some meat on the bone before you concede that, because they're going to be playing your clip all day on CNN and MSNBC of the unprecedented cooperation. I'm not seeing any cooperation, but guess what? We're not behind the scenes. I'm just some stupid Mick yelling into a mic. So, but we've got guys in that are telling us they haven't seen any cooperation. In fact, they've seen the exact opposite. So I'd like to see some math on that. Let's get it away from opinion and just put some mathematics on it. What's the unprecedented cooperation before we do a big drawdown? Yesterday, another major event. Well, Frank, I want to do this. Let's go ahead and play. We had the announcement of the Sharia caucus yesterday with some of the best in the House. Let's play that. I want to get Frank's thoughts on this. So go ahead and let it rip.
Sharia is inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, the Declaration, and the rule of law in our country. That is why we've been putting forward legislation. My friend Randy Fine from Florida put forward legislation to ban Sharia in our courts. We put legislation to say that we shouldn't have tax advantage status for CARE, who has direct ties to terrorist activities around the world. We put forward legislation to pause immigration until we've have an immigration system that vets people for adherence to Sharia law. These are the kinds of things that the American people expect us to do to defend this country. They're the kinds of things that we will do in the Sharia Free America Caucus. And to stand up and let the voices of the American people be heard, that we're not going to be cowed by groups coming in and trying to make places where there are no-go zones for our women in the state of Texas. Those occur. Those are occurring right now in Arlington, in Plano, in places that are strongholds and bastions of our values as Texans and as Americans. We have people, we have women, Texans, who are afraid to go to certain areas. That's not going to happen. We're not going to let Dallas or Houston or any other city in this great country become what has happened to London and to Paris. We are going to fight for this country. And that's what I'm proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with these great men and women to say that we're going to do. And I'm not going to allow the Constitution to be, frankly, misapplied and hid behind to say that I've got to throw aside 250 years of our core Judeo-Christian principles.
Thank you guys for coming today. I want to start by thanking Representative Chip Roy and Keith Self for founding the Sharia Free America Caucus. While our foreign policy objectives are rightfully shifting toward the Western Hemisphere and China, it's critical that we don't ignore the growing threat posed by dangerous legal and political ideologies. We would be foolish to let Washington doctrine of interventionism overshadow our responsibility to protect our interests from within our own borders. As someone who served in the Middle East, I've seen firsthand that Sharia law cannot coexist with Western values and our constitutional republic. Proponents of this extremist framework believe in a mandate to dominate those who won't conform to their belief system. This conflicts with core American principles such as freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and human rights. Although many European nations have surrendered to this coercive ideology, America still has an opportunity to learn from their mistakes and correct our course. If we fail to act, we risk eroding our freedoms to appease those who refuse to respect or operate within our constitutional system. That is why I'm honored to join these patriots who understand the gravity of the situation as a member of the Sharia Free America Caucus.
This is not just a Texas problem. Sharia is on the march across America, from Arizona to Minnesota, Alabama, Florida, and beyond. No state is safe. As of today, our Sharia Free America Caucus consists of 33 members of Congress from 18 different states. That's over a third of the country. It also has the support of Senator Tuberville, who is here today and has been one of the leading voices against the threat of Sharia. In fact, this caucus grew out of a conversation that he and I had at the White House Christmas party. If we do not fight back, Sharia will dominate our culture, and America will no longer be America. A nation that millions have fought and died for, a nation that I served in the U.S. Army for 25 years on active duty, a nation that is the freest nation ever in the history of humankind. Look no further than France and the United Kingdom. Through unchecked immigration, they've been overrun. These once great nations are losing their heritage, their culture, and their freedoms. Sharia divides, then conquers. Under it, there's no true freedom of religion or speech, no equal rights, and women are second-class citizens. Don't take my word for it. Consider the explanatory memorandum on the general strategic goal for the group in North America, a 1991 document written by a Muslim Brotherhood leader, uncovered in a federal terrorism investigation. This is the written, formal plan to dominate and replace our culture in the United States.
Wake up, America. We got to wake up. The enemy is inside the gates.
it is very, very important that we start to understand every day of how important this is. Important to us, our kids, and our grandkids, and the future of this great nation. 250 years that we've made it. But we're being attacked every day, and it's growing. But our side needs to grow also and fight back. There's a silent revolution that's going on in our country. We have to remember that radical Islam is not a religion. It is a political organization run by terrorists. No easy way to put it. Islamic extremism is infiltrating the U.S. and refusing to assimilate. But what's even darker than that, many of them are openly admitting that they are here with the intent to destroy our country and to kill Americans. They couldn't put it any more clear. This is not a secret. The Quran instructs them to kill all infidels. It specifically encourages them to behead all infidels. If you're not a Muslim, they don't want you here. It provides clear instructions about how they are to steal from non-Muslims. It's no wonder that a group of Somalians have been accused of stealing, 18 billion to this point, and growing, as President Trump says. Roughly 5 million Muslims live in this country, in the United States of America, and on the rise. We do have people who are Muslims in this country, of Muslim descent, who do not practice Sharia law, and they are welcome because they want to assimilate to our culture. But woke cities like Michigan, Minnesota, and New Jersey are replacing American civic norms with radical Islamic policies. Minneapolis became the first major U.S. city to allow amplified Islamic calls to prayer year-round. Noise ordinance be damned. This type of practice is not even allowed in most Muslim countries. Why do they do it here? They want to be seen and heard. They want to be on television. They want to rally the troops, which begs the question, if people like Ilhan Omar love this way of life back home, why don't you just move the hell back? This is our country. Our grandparents built this country. 250 years. This is our birthday, and we do not want to change to a third world country. Radical Islam is fundamentally incompatible with the American way of life. We have to start understanding that. It does not work. They do not want it to work. Islamic would like to see every Christian and freedom-loving American convert to Islam or face death.
Tommy Tuberville telling you the way it is, right, and the way it's going to be unless we stop it. Frank Gaffney, we've got 30 seconds. I know you got to bounce. Your thoughts.
Well, God bless those guys. The only question I have is 33. Every single member of Congress, Senate, House, swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution. Why aren't they all part of that caucus? They need to be. We're mounting a campaign here, Steve. You and I are now deployed forward to Texas to mount this effort to ban Sharia in Texas and across the country. It's called Save Texas, Save America Campaign. BanSharia.com is where you can find more about it and contribute to its
Thank you, Frank. Appreciate you.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
Everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in, be counted, be heard. Together, we are Rav.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting started.
It's Stacy from Texas. I watch Real America's Voice because I need to learn, and I know I can get the truth through Rav. God bless everyone, and always love the children. Amen. It's Stacy from Texas. I watch Real America's Voice because I need to learn, and I know I can get the truth through Rav. God bless everyone, and always love the children. Amen.
My name is Tina, and I'm in Dallas, Texas. I'm so grateful to be able to get my news from an organization like Real America's Voice, whose conservative values align with my own.
The president believes in the United States Constitution. However, he believes there has obviously been a lot of fraud and irregularities that have taken place in American elections. And again, voter ID is a highly popular and common sense policy that the president wants to pursue, and he wants to pass legislation to make that happen for all states across the country.
The times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof, by the Congress may at any time by law make or alter such regulations. This all comes just days after Trump's FBI seized 2020 election ballots from Fulton County, Georgia. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution obtained local police body camera of that very search, and here's a bit of it.
This is all in regards to election side stuff. You know where we're here, right? So we can't discuss more than more than that. But as long as we keep, the big thing is just trying to keep media and someone let media in here and keep media clear out of here.
What's happening now is that their warrant is wrong. It had the wrong. It's not in elections possession. It's in clerk's possession.
The warrant will be amended slightly, but for all intents and purposes, what they had is what it's going to look like. We wanted to let her facilitate us moving through the building to unlock the gates so that we don't have to breach it, because one way or the other, the records are coming with us today.
Okay, let's have a reset here for a moment. President Trump and Secretary Bannon, and Secretary Besson's talking today on affordability of housing, things that President Trump are doing. We'll try to get clips and play night. We can't cover that live like we wanted to because we got to deal with this. And we got to deal with this because this is the stuff that's the most important. Remember, we're in this fiasco right now. We're in this fiasco right now because they stole the 2020 election and inserted Biden and enfeebled a guy, the autopen president. And in that time did not things on the margin. This is not about some tax rate increasing or something they wanted to do to housing and urban development, HUD or HHS. This is everything from the enforcing on the vaccines and what they try to do to shut everybody down and put people in jail that want to stand up for their medical freedom, to allowing 15 to 25 million illegal aliens on their watch to flood these cities. And now we are having at a brink of leading to a civil war about this. This is not marginal. But everybody has to understand, and this is why, Cleta Mitchell, they want to put Cleta Mitchell in prison. They want to put all those people we have in Georgia. And if we didn't have, I don't know, a couple of hundred, Caroline Jeffords and Garland Frey, the people we've had on here, if you didn't have a couple of hundred patriots that worked opposite of the establishment Republican Party because they're controlled opposition and they don't give a damn. As long as they got the tax cuts and deregulation, they're making more money hand over fist they ever made in their life. They don't give a damn about the country. The controlled opposition, they just want to kick the can down the road, all of them. If you didn't have a couple of hundred patriots, we would have never gotten to this point. And I want you to study this document. If Grace and Mo and Elizabeth and others on our staff can make sure we get it out and be a force multiplier. But number one, read it yourself. You need to read this because this gets back to the whole issue of nationalizing elections. This gets back to the whole issue of mass deportations. This gets back to the whole issue of the SAVE Act. This gets back to the negotiations on Capitol Hill. These are all inextricably linked, and it's vitally important that the working class and middle class in this country, not the pundits, not the guys at the think tanks, not these consultants, you, if it's burned into your soul, once again, I might add, you will come like the cavalry to save the nation. I told you when President Trump won this great come from behind in 24, and you had all the tech bros running down there, everybody running down there. They're all going to sit there and go, President Trump said we got the House and Senate. It's all done. It's all over. The deep state's going to go away. It's all going to be fine. President Trump's going to take care of it. Every day. Look at that group of clapping seals in back of him yesterday. Every day is a struggle for him just to get the party he brought to power to have his back on mass deportations and setting things right on these elections, which are obviously in your face, stolen. Look at the Somalian situation. It's in your face. Look at the illegal alien problem. If you told the revolutionary generation, if you went to Valley Forge, I'll even do you better, that doesn't get enough thing. You went to Morristown, I think the next year and the next year, which was actually as bad and maybe not, maybe even worse than Valley Forge. If you had gone and told those guys in the middle of one of these bitter winters, when they had no money, no pay, no food, no firewood, nothing, they're freezing to death, trying to take on the most powerful empire on earth. If you had told them, guys, just stick through it, just stick with it, because on the 250th birthday of your victory, or at least the initiation, let me get the initiation of this fight of which you will win, on the 250th birthday, when we are the most powerful nation on earth, we freed more people than anybody in the world. We created more wealth for folks than anywhere on earth. That we would have allowed 15 to 25 million foreigners into the country to live on the public dole and to vote and change the direction of the country with a Marxist jihadist party, what would they tell you? What would they say to you? Forget about even the future generations that we owe to bequeath this republic to them as we saw it, and even better, go back to every patriot grave, back to the beginning, and tell me what you're going to tell them. We have a moral obligation and duty to do this. This is not about politics in the midterms. Let me repeat, we have a moral obligation to drive every illegal alien invader out of this nation. I don't give a damn what Wall Street says about it. I don't care what corporate America says about it. I don't care what the tech bros say about it. And I certainly don't care what Rachel Maddow and the Marxist media that defended this and lied about it when it was happening, you think now we're supposed to kowtow to? So here's the unprecedented cooperation we're going to give them. None. Zero. All of them got to go, and President Trump has to nationalize the election. You got to put not just, I think, ICE. You got to call up the 82nd and the 101st Airborne on the Insurrection Act. You got to get around every poll and make sure only people with IDs, people are actually registered to vote, and people that are United States citizens vote in this election. Full stop. We will not accept anything less.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead, scan the QR code now. Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
Everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in, be counted, be heard. Together, we are Rav.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting.
This is the primal scream of a dying regime.
Pray for our enemies, because we're going medieval on these people. You're just not got a free shot on all these networks lying about the people. The people have had a belly full of it. I know you don't like hearing that. I know you try to do everything in the world to stop that, but you're not going to stop it. It's going to happen.
And where do people like that go to share the big lie? MAGA media. I wish in my soul, I wish that any of these people had a conscience.
Ask yourself, what is my task and what is my purpose? If that answer is to save my country, this country will be saved.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, Wednesday, 4 February, the year of our Lord 2026. On my last rant there, you saw at the end the countdown clock for the All-American thing. That's fine. We're going to handle that with Andrew Colvett. Please, Denver, because I can direct and host too. I'll do that if I have to. Don't, when I'm on a rant about the revolution, maybe we don't put up the countdown clock for the halftime show. Just a thought. I'm just randomly throwing that out there. Cleta Mitchell. You can't make this up. Cleta Mitchell, ma'am, you guys have done yeoman work. Now we understand, Cleta, and I need everybody to read this PDF. Do not take it from Steve Bannon. Do not take it from Tulsi Gabbard. Don't take it from Cleta Mitchell. You need to read it and to have it burned into you. This is the reason that they fought this for 5 years. This is the reason that Fani Willis, that corrupt crook who should be in prison, it charged President Trump and Cleta Mitchell and Rudy Giuliani and all these patriots and want to throw them all in prison. Brother Schaefer. Because they stole the 2020 election in Georgia, shows you what they did, and also in places like Arizona and Pennsylvania and all of it. They stole the 2020 election, and the nation is in a crisis, as we said from high noon on the 20th of January in 2021. We said this guy is totally illegitimate. You had out there 10 people as inauguration. If they could have done it in the dark of night, they would have done it then. There were 10 people with the big white circles. Remember that? He was an illegitimate president, and he's brought destruction onto our country that we're fighting and heading towards, and we're going to head towards unless we, the MAGA movement, can reverse this, which we can. The nation will be on a path, just like in England and just like in Paris, to a civil war. It was Victor David Hanson who wrote this brilliant piece that Minneapolis shows you you're on a path to Fort Sumter. with these insurrectionists and these people that just are going to, and they're going to dig in. And so, no, how about this? We're going to have unprecedented non-cooperation because they don't want mass deportations. They're fighting every step of the way. You have to understand how they did this in stealing the 2020 election, this PDF that we put up that Grace and Mo and Elizabeth have. And everybody, it is your duty right now as a force multiplier to read it, to maybe on your social media put it a couple highlights, and to repurpose it and put it forward as a force multiplier because they can't hide from the facts. Cleta Mitchell, since they wanted to put you and every other patriot down there in prison, they wanted to put they wanted President Trump to die in prison. They allowed Fani Willis, corrupt from head to toe. They allowed Fani Willis, the Republican establishment in that state, Raffensperger, Kemp, all of them allowed this to happen. They allowed the stealing of the Georgia election, and then they allowed the prosecution of the very patriots that work like crazy to bring it to the American people. Cleta Mitchell, can you walk us through just this PDF, the highlight reel of what people should focus on, ma'am?
Happy to do that. And thank you, Steve, for always being willing to talk the truth to everybody. I want people to picture in your mind November 4th, the morning of November 4th, the day after the election, the national presidential election. Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger from Georgia went on the Today Show and he said the following, that a record 4.7 million ballots had been cast in Georgia. This is the morning of November 4th. President Trump was in the lead by 103,000 votes, and there were only 94,000 ballots left to count. Now remember, the deadline for receipt of absentee ballots in Georgia in 2020 was when the polls closed 7 p.m. on November the 3rd. So that's a known number the next day, right? Except that when they finished counting the ballots 4 days later, suddenly there were 300,000 more ballots than there were when the polls closed on Election Day. Absentee ballots that came in, and half of those, 148,000 of those, were from Fulton County. Now, let me tell you some things about Fulton County. And all of this is from a 263-page intense report with every document, visual images. You cannot believe the things that are in this report. And I'll tell you where to find the full report. But I wanted to go through those 260 some odd pages and pull out the bullet points that everybody needs to just understand. So let's talk about Fulton County absentee ballots. There were 74,000 absentee ballots that had come into Fulton County by the time the polls closed, the legal deadline by the time the polls closed on November the 3rd. But somehow, 4 days later, instead of those 74,000, there were 148,000 plus, just a little over 148,000 absentee ballots that were now suddenly in the mix. Now, where did those come from? Fulton County election officials ordered on October the 16th over 1 million new absentee ballots. They were ordered without envelopes, even though in order to cast an absentee ballot in Georgia, you have to mail it. You have to put it in an envelope. It has to be sealed in an envelope. And we saw in one of our counts in our lawsuit, our election contest, that was never heard by a judge because no judge was appointed. But our volunteers saw all of these pristine ballots, no folds. Those cannot be absentee ballots. But tens of thousands of these ballots were delivered to the State Farm Arena with no chain of custody. Here's the ultimate data point. According to Fulton County and the Secretary of State records, this is post-election, there were 48,319 absentee ballots in Fulton County counted, included in the totals for Georgia. But only 125,784 voters were recorded as having cast an absentee ballot. That is a difference of 25,535 more ballots than voters who are recorded as having registered for and cast an absentee ballot in Fulton County. So that's 25,535 more ballots than voters. And the margin between President Trump and Joe Biden was 11,779. Now, these absentee ballots that came in, there were over 133,000 ballot images deleted. Only 16,000 of the 148,000 absentee ballots, only 16,000 have the actual ballot images that were retained as required by law. And people have looked at those ballot images and they see anomalies, markings, changed timestamps. They believe that those were deliberately deleted. Now, that's just in the absentee ballots. We get into the tabulators, where the tabulator tapes, that every tabulator has a tape. It is supposed to have a memory card that is put into the tabulator at the beginning. They're supposed to print out a poll tape that says 0, there are no ballots on this machine at the start of the election. And then there's a memory card that's supposed to be put in. There's a seal that is put on, and that is not supposed to be taken off until the polls close from advance voting prior to Election Day, the Friday before Election Day. But what we see in Fulton County, and there's also supposed to be a closing tape. So there's supposed to be every tabulator, a tape that has the opening at 0, and at the closing, it's supposed to say how many ballots were tabulated by that particular machine. It is supposed to have the serial number of the machine that actually tabulated the ballots. What did they do in Fulton County? There are only 9 tabulators that have opening tapes. There are zero poll tapes that have both the opening tape and the 0 count, the official record of how many ballots were tabulated, and the serial number. There are 0 of the 148 tabulators in Fulton County in 2020. There are zero tabulator tapes with all the required statutory information. There are no qualified numbered voter lists for Fulton County for in-person voting. Every voter who comes in is supposed to be sign in. That becomes the numbered voter list. They know exactly how many have shown up to vote, and none of those the numbered voter lists exist. I can go on, and if you look at the reports and the complaints and the documents in this comprehensive report, over 260 pages, and it is mind-blowing. And it's all there, but I thought it was important to bring the highlights out of this. And I'm going to be posting on Twitter and on X and on through social so that people can see these bullets. And of course, what has happened over the last 5 years? The powers that be, Brad Raffensperger, Chris Carr, the Attorney General, Brad Raffensperger, and Brian Kemp Brian Kemp did one thing at the beginning. One of the people who went and looked at all of this, took it to him and showed that from the original count to the hand recount that happens to confirm that the original numbers are correct, there were 6,691 fictitious ballots inserted into the certified total. That's still included in the total. So Joe Rossi from Georgia got the governor to send his people in. They confirmed that Joe Rossi was telling them correctly. Governor Kemp sends a letter over to the Secretary of State and the state election board and says, you need to investigate this. Did they investigate that? No, they did not. And then the state election board referred it to the Attorney General and said, will you investigate? Did Chris Carr, the Attorney General, investigate? These are nearly 7,000 ballots or votes that have no ballots. There are no ballots to support that 7,000, which again is almost the entire margin between President Trump and Joe Biden. Chris Carr, you know what he did? He shows up in the state election board and says, oh, I've got an agreement with Fulton County that they won't ever do anything like this again, without one bit of investigation. I mean, these guys are so feckless. They are so awful.
Gutless.
They are awful.
No, even worse.
And now we're getting the numbers. We know the numbers.
And
this doesn't even get into the machines.
Hang on for a second. I've been saying this is why I was not a machine guy. Don't get me wrong. The machines will blow your heads up, but there's enough here in Philadelphia, in Atlanta, in Phoenix that you didn't even need to get to the machines. They had belt and suspenders how they were going to steal it. Keep in perspective, folks. They allowed Fonnie Willis to charge the president with felonies that would have put him in prison, that he would die in prison. Embrace that. Embrace the 25 million that came here. You must embrace the scale of these crimes and the cowardice of the conservatives that allowed it to happen. The scale of the coward. It's not feckless. It's this blatant cowardice. Short break.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rev has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rev. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in, be counted, be heard. Together, we are Rev.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting started.
It's Stacy from Texas. I watch Real America's Voice because I need to learn, and I know I can get the truth through Rav. God bless everyone, and always love the children. Amen. It's Stacy from Texas. I watch Real America's Voice because I need to learn, and I know I can get the truth through Rav. God bless everyone, and always love the children. Amen.
My name is Tina, and I'm in Dallas, Texas. I'm so grateful to be able to get my news from an organization like Real America's Voice, whose conservative values align with my own.
Real America's Voice family.
Are you on Getter yet?
No. What are you waiting for?
It's free.
It's uncensored.
And it's where all the biggest voices in conservative media are speaking out.
Download the Getter app right now. It's totally free. It's where I put up exclusively all of my content 24 hours a day. You want to know what Steve Bannon's thinking? Go to Getter.
That's right. You can follow all of your favorites. Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, Jack Posobiec.
And so many more.
Download the Getter app now. Sign up for free and be part of the movement.
Welcome back. Cleta dropped for a second. We're going to get it back up. Terry Schilling's going to be here with some good news, but kind of a warning about this transgender ideology. Just to put it in perspective, when President Trump won in 2016, that was totally providential. We had a plane. We had a man. We had a message. We had no organization, really. We had no money. That was the will of God, and President Trump was his instrument. And I don't care who on the left goes crazy about that and who in the Republicans. I was there. I saw it. I was a witness to that. In 2020, the stolen election, that is also providential because we needed those years in the wilderness. Number one, to show that we were worthy of this fight, of which you showed you were worthy in the years we needed to come together and to have, more people that could go into the administration, more policies, to hit them with days of thunder and flood the zone and all of it. And what happened in those years when the evil of the illegitimate regime, 19 people in Georgia, 19 patriots in Georgia were indicted. President Trump, they wanted to send to prison. We allowed something like Fani Willis to do that with all her crimes. Don't take it from me. Take it out of my hands and read the PDF to start as a summary and read the whole, 262-page report. This is what they were covering up to try to go on offense to indict the very truth tellers that were there to present to the nation. And what did the Georgia Republican establishment do? They allowed it to happen. By their actions, by the fruits of their actions, ye shall know them. Right? By their fruits, ye shall know them. Well, look at the fruits of what this audience in MAGA, in the Warren Posse, in the MAGA base, the fruits of winning the 2016 election and not allowing Hillary Clinton and the globalists to take over and stacking the Supreme Court and then fighting tooth and nail for a true election in 2020. That was stolen. And then to come back from total oblivion and have the back of an individual that they wanted to put in prison for 300 years, Trump. That's how much Trump is a threat to the system in all his imperfections. And let me be blunt while I'm on this topic, and that is why in 28 you got Trump or you got nothing. You have the abyss. You have the abyss. Look at Putin in Ukraine, the mullahs in Iran, in the Middle East. You got Xi. And yes, President Trump just put a very nice Truth Social. You've got Xi in the China. You got every bad hombre in the world. And we got a color revolution in this country that we have not gotten close to destroying. If I don't have Cleta, I'll get Cleta. Is Cleta up? If not, let's go. I want to go to Terry, because Terry Schilling, we've had some good news. You've been out warning during those years in the wilderness that there's something so radical that is happening here to destroy the family and actually to break the very kind of foundational elements or the foundational structure of the Judeo-Christian West when it comes to the family, when it comes to man's and woman's relationship to God. And you warned early on, like a voice in the wilderness with others, we had that, hey, this thing is so serious and you have to see what's happening. And then the state took over and there were like these they were like these guys in the Bolshevik Revolution trying to force this on and destroy kids' minds and destroy families. And yesterday we got some very good news, but we cannot rest on this. Walk me through what this radical ideology was. The most radical ideology I think they've come up with until we get to transhumanism, but it was the beginning. It laid the precedent. It laid the predicate, as we say in narrative warfare, for transhumanism. Terry Schilling.
Well, Steve, the ideology that you're talking about is trans ideology, transgender ideology. It's the belief that your biological sex doesn't matter. Nature doesn't exist. What else? The only thing that exists is your will. If you're born a male and you were assigned male at birth, you can become a woman with the right hormones and surgeries. We just had a huge victory, though, Steve, with Valerian Fox. She's the first detransitioner to win a malpractice lawsuit. She was awarded $2 million by a jury, and it's a big deal. And I just want to use this moment to point out the importance of political engagement and political organizing here, because we get the Valerian Fox case where she wins $2 million. We also now, just yesterday, have the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, the boob job guys. They are now coming out and saying that 19 years is way too young to get a sex change procedure, and they're against it. The AMA is now coming out and saying that surgical intervention for these minors is not acceptable generally. This is all coming because President Trump was elected, because the American people are speaking out, and because President Trump has sicked the DOJ, the FTC. He's limited Medicaid reimbursements. Hospitals that perform these surgeries on minors don't get Medicaid funding. It's a death knell for them. And it's all because we organize and engage in politics to help fix the system. Now, Steve, I just want to be very clear, though, too, is we cannot rely only on these malpractice lawsuits. If we do that, we will lose the big battle. We have to keep going. We have to pass a national law to protect our children. You know, Steve, I go back to this fight, and it was built off of two lies, and they're evident in this case, in the Valerian Fox case, where she got paid $2 million. The two lies are, one, it's not happening with children. We're not doing surgeries to children. We're not giving them cross-sex hormones. We're not giving them puberty blockers. This is very rare. It's always been a lie. There's been thousands of documented cases of girls getting mastectomies, of even what they call bottom surgery, which is just genital mutilation. We've had this going on. That was the first lie. It's not happening. But then the second lie is what they tell the parents when they identify a gender-confused kid. They say, your kid, if this doesn't happen, if we don't get your kid a sex change, if we don't put them on Lupron and the wrong sex hormones, your kid will die. Your kid will commit suicide. They've used both of these lies to get billions of dollars in taxpayer funding, to get billions of dollars through Medicaid and billions of dollars to the hospital systems. It's an industry, and it's thriving in states. You know, Steve, a lot of people don't realize this. California doctors are mailing in Lupron and these wrong sex hormones into the red states that are protecting their kids. They pass these blue shield laws. We have to get national legislation passed. We have to get this over the finish line. Our kids are too damn important. And Steve, it's not just, we can't just stop at banning it. These doctors that perform these surgeries, they all need to be bankrupted. Their houses need to be seized, their Bentleys need to be seized, their yachts, all of the money that they've taken, all their assets need to be liquidated and paid to these victims. And I don't care if the people reject or regret their sex change or not. They were still damaged, they were still harmed, and there needs to be even more lawsuits. But we have to ban this stuff. And I'm sorry, I kind of went on a rant, but this thing is just
it's
so
perfect. But let me try to bifurcate this for a second. Matt Walsh had this great tweet where he said that the results of yesterday's lawsuit shows you that we could very well have this entire industry collapse back on those doctors in the hospitals that perform that. Is that something that we should watch for? Is Matt Walsh correct that this lawsuit will trigger now hundreds, if not thousands, of lawsuits, so we will actually have the financial collapse of at least the people on the tip of the spear of this?
It's incredibly possible, Steve. And I want to point out something. After Obergefell, the sexual left felt so emboldened. They felt like they were just going to be able to steamroll America with this transgender agenda, this transgender industry that they have built. It's $4.5 billion, Steve. That's not anything to scoff at. That's a ton of money, and they reinvest it into lobbying and PR and legislation. I mean, this stuff doesn't just like sit there in bank vaults or get spent on the yachts and the mansions for these doctors that are doing it. It gets reinvested into expansion. And so I think Matt Walsh is possibly very correct, because the transgender industry miscalculated. They thought they were going to run over us. They thought they were going to steamroll us, but they didn't. The American people fought back. So at a minimum, even if the Democrats take over in 2028, which I'm actually very skeptical they will, but even if they do, the industry is going to have to factor in the additional lawsuits and the additional fact that this is now a political conflict, and that if Republicans ever get power again, they're going to be in even more trouble for doing this. So I think Matt Walsh could be right, but we cannot rely on the courts. The courts have screwed us every single time they've had the opportunity, so we can't trust them. We have to push forward and keep banning this stuff. We need a nationwide law banning sex change procedures, at least for minors, and we need liability protections for everyone else.
Where do people go on your social media and to the site? You're one of the leaders of this movement. I want people to get fully fully up to speed on all the receipts you've got in the fight that's ahead of us on this.
It's real simple. It's shilling 1776 across all platforms, Getter, X, Instagram, all of it. And then AmericanPrinciplesProject.org. You can sign up to get updates and get in the loop with us.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
How about we start individually with not allowing Big Pharma to have their grip on you? Bobby Kennedy and the people over HHS are trying to chop wood every day to break Big Pharma's grip on the nation. If you want medical freedom, true medical freedom, allfamilypharmacy.com, promo code Bannon10. Just go check out allfamilypharmacy.com right now. Go check it out. They have broken the back of the pharmacy distributors and the mass drugstore chains by giving you direct access to physicians and other medical personnel that can give you your prescriptions. And then, since they don't have the overhead, give you the drugs that you need and the drugs that you want with prescriptions at amazing prices. Allfamilypharmacy.com, promo code Bannon10. Do it today.
The radical left knows exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history. For thousands of Americans, it was the moment their voices were taken.
It's insurrection.
They were persecuted, hunted.
Seditious conspiracy.
But behind prison walls, something unexpected happened. They found their voice again.
Started singing the national anthem.
We took it up to him at Mar-a-Lago. He goes, I'll put my voice on it.
Our supporters made this go platinum.
Real America's Voice is telling the real story of January 6th like you've never seen it before.
Everybody, this must be peaceful.
This is not the story you were shown.
I take responsibility.
This is the story they live.
Government entrapment scheme that this actually was.
The J6 Patriots are no longer staying silent. They are speaking, they are standing, and they are telling the truth.
You can't kill us. You can't beat us.
Scan the QR code or visit RealAmericasVoice.com. Real America's Voice presents The Sleeping Giant. Available now. Welcome to Real America's Voice Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust, national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials.
Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Conversation with President Xi this morning. I think he reiterated he's going to China for a state visit in April. We'll be covering all that. Of course, we've kind of, I think, counterbalanced this. Xi's been thrown out of power, or the military revolted against him, and there's gunfire in the streets. I believe, and I think if you look at the evidence, Xi is probably more powerful than ever. He has done a consolidation of the military, and it's quite scary. One aspect is Xi is pretty bold. I hope President Trump brings it up in the visit in April. Of course, we're going to do a huge run-up to this and covering it about Xi just announced that he wants the Chinese currency to compete with the United States dollar as a global reserve currency. What he's making the case is that they're a stable country and that they're a stable ally, that the United States is nothing but chaos. After they have worked, remember, they are behind Peter Schweizer's book, New York Times #1 bestseller, Don't Take It From Me, Take It From Brother Schweitzer. They are a big element behind this invasion of our country because they're using unrestricted warfare. That's why go to Birch Gold, the end of the dollar empire. We laid this out 5 years ago. See, installment after installment after installment. There's 7 out there. It's in hard copy now. If you want one, I'll give you a signed one for an appropriate investment in gold through Birch Gold. Also, we're coming out with the 8th free installment. Birchgold.com, promo code Bannon, the end of the dollar empire. Get today. Get smart. Even if you never invest in gold, it'll teach you something about the world. Of course, the War and Posse, we always need to know more about the world and the way the world works. Tom Dans, the Arctic, the great game, the Chinese Communist Party, very focused on the Arctic. You just got back from an Arctic conference, #1. We just had a major anniversary. Talk to me about was it the 4 chaplains, Greenland?
Yes.
What do we got going on there? Then we'll talk about the Arctic conference.
Absolutely. Hey, Steve, great to be with the posse. Yes, if just a year ago today, I was over in Greenland with the posse and a good Greenlandic friend, and we were at our former main base there for the United States during World War II, Bluey West 1. And that was, we were there to commemorate for the first time in 70 years 4 Chaplains Day, which is in the pantheon of the annals of American history, one of our deepest and greatest days of heroism. And this was the sinking of a U.S. Army transport ship on its way to Greenland with 904 souls aboard, mostly men who were going into combat but also 130 civilian workers who were there to staff up our operation in Greenland, which grew to 20,000 during the Cold War. We had over almost 27 military installations during World War II, too. So we had been there, again, before the war ever started. Well, the 4 chaplains come into play because the ship is hunted from its departure in St. John's to its arrival almost at Greenland. And it's where the men are told to wear life vests the whole time because they're getting hunted by Wolfpack. They end up getting torpedoed. The chaplains not only manage the situation, keep calm, but, and this is 2 Methodist ministers, a Catholic priest, and a Jewish rabbi. They actually organize on the deck and help the rescue of 230 men. And then as the ship slips under the water, they lock arms and are all praying and singing hymns. So they literally gave their lives for God and country. At the same time, they're commemorated through 4 Chaplains Day on February 3rd every year. And it really is part of our history and something that the 4 Chaplains Medal, again, was at the same level of the Medal of Honor. So it's George Santayana, said, it's those who can't remember history are condemned to repeat it. We see that same current, whether you're talking about things as recent as Georgia 2020, and Terry was just on talking about, the mutilation of kids. Well, there's history of that too, and it goes back sadly to World War II, and there were experiments done at that point in time, and that those words of George Santayana hang on Auschwitz wall for a reason.
Well, it's not simply Auschwitz. It's not simply Auschwitz. I would actually argue that the Japanese experimentation on the Chinese and American prisoners might have been worse, at least as bad. It's never really been talked about. It's absolutely brutal. So Trump, real quickly, the Arctic. You went to You went to the Arctic. We're really pressed for time. We went to Arctic conference. Tell me about the Arctic conference.
Yeah. Trump's Norway in the Arctic. Some our history buffs will know it as the former home of the Tirpitz. That was the major. It was, it wasn't just Denmark that fell to the Nazis that America had to deal with in the Arctic in World War II. It was also Norway. And in fact, my grandfather did those Murmansk runs and basically came up against it. Well, this was a convening. It's a large convening that celebrates science, which I am there for, and as well as geopolitics. And what we had yesterday, unfortunately, was a lineup of European leaders on the stage, basically remonstrating the President Trump and kind of refusing to accept the new realities in the Arctic.
No, I want to be. Hang on, I want to be blunt because it's a great power. It's the new great game. But when you talk about Norway, the Quisling became a word. Norway was one of those, and this is a great NATO ally. And all the great Norwegians in the United States of America that came over here and fought so valiantly, and one of the great backbones of the country, particularly up in the upper Midwest and in places like Wyoming and Montana, these incredible immigrants. Norway willingly cooperated with the Nazis. Quisling was the government. This is why you had so many commando raids in Norway about nuclear power and heavy water and all that. Norway was awful. The elites in Norway were awful, and this is why the Nobel Prize and that entire clique have never really been allies to the United States. Quisling and that crowd were terrible, and you saw this at the Arctic conference. Tom, we got to go. Where's social media? You're putting up stuff about this conference. Where do people go?
Sure, at TomDansCFA.com. And one thing to mention, Steve, I'm ships and icebreakers. I'm here in the Netherlands coming at you because I'm visiting Bannon. There's a story there that President Trump used to own a shipyard that they own. So President Trump's a shipbuilder. That's why he's focused on icebreakers. He was building the world's largest and most beautiful yacht. And this company today, Bannon, is actually one of the world's greatest icebreaker manufacturers. So Fantastic. We're going to visit with them tomorrow. Exciting stuff.
One more time, where's social media so people can follow you?
At Tom Dans CFA. And also at arctic.gov for our work with the Research Commission.
Arctic.gov. Okay, brother. The Arctic, the great game of the 21st century, Chinese Communist Party, Russia, the United States, Canada. You better step your game up or you're going to be the new Ukraine. You're going to have a bite taken out of you by the Chinese Communist Party, the Russians. Steve Stern, tell me about your special today. It's this afternoon, and you've got the author of this amazing, one of the authors of this amazing report, I think is going to be your leadoff batter. What do you got for us, sir?
Well, we got Kevin Matla going to be speaking about Fulton County, the raid. He's going to tell you everything about it. He was there. This is our election security call today at 2:00 Eastern time. If you want to get on, I'm going to give you all the different ways. I'm going to tell you who's going to be on. Go to stern1054@gmail.com. We'll send you a link. If not, it'll be on Getter. It'll be on the War Room. It'll be on a Stern American Rumble and 150 podcasters. We're going to have on Jovan Pulitzer, going to be doing an new election audit method. We're going to have Bill Federon, an author, speaker. John Case, one of the most important guys. Tina Peters, we always put this up. Call the governor. Jared Polis, 303-866-2471. Yesterday, 6,000 people called him. He's getting a little bit softer. Peter Tickton told me on a Zoom meeting she should be out in 6 months. Let's hope so. We're going to have John Bannon on. He's going to be talking about the 375 mosques in Texas. People don't know about it. We want to wake them up. We're going to be talking about many, many different things. One of the most important things, Andy Mahon. He's going to be calling from Bucks County, Pennsylvania, with our new precinct strategy, Precinct Project USA. That's something new. We're going to add that to our precinct, www.precinctstrategy.com. We got to get more people involved. They called me from the RNC yesterday, election security people. We need people to get involved. Harry Hari is going to be coming on. He's going to talk about some of the lawsuits that are going on. We're going to have Joe Hoft on. He's going to be talking about some of the things that are going on in election security that's got to be talked about. Orlean Cohley, she's Eagle Forum, got 80,000 women. And John
Steve,
Bennett.
we got to bounce. I want one more time how people get there. You got a raft of people plus the Georgia situation. But a question for you. As you see it right now with all, you got Matt Meck and the coalition, you got what you guys are doing, you got all these different groups. You're spending so much time on election integrity, all great patriots. But as we see it today, you got Tulsi Gabbard looking at this, and you're going to have to, and I know the left hates this, and they're going to, Bill Kristol and all these guys are going to go crazy. Right now, the president is going to have ICE, the 82nd Airborne, the 101st. We cannot allow, because you see in Georgia, it's all phony. The left is not doing anything to protect. They just shot down. We didn't even bring the SAVE Act up for a vote. Polly Pocket's in the House. We didn't bring the Save America Act to a vote. We didn't bring Make Elections Great Again Act to a vote. Anna Paulina Luna and all these great patriots in the House trying to fight. The Republican establishment doesn't want to do it because they're afraid of being called nativist or racist or, bad names by the left, which don't mean anything. So right now, with all the efforts you're doing, isn't the president going to have to nationalize the upcoming midterm election, sir?
Well, we're waiting for an executive order from that Tickton and a bunch of guys working on General Flynn for one-day voting, no machines, no mail-in ballots except on special occasions. All this is going to come out. I mean, President Trump is working on this. He's got 8 lawyers working on it. So when it comes out, it's going to really take hold. And I think Cleta Mitchell, who talked to you today, I'm on her Zoom a lot. She is wonderful. She has many, many people working on this. I mean, there's so many people working on election security. And one of the things that we're going to have a bigger voice. Hang
on. I know we're working on executive order, and executive order is great. But like Andrew Jackson said, the executive orders are court orders. Somebody's got to enforce it. I agree. An executive order would be fantastic. But an executive order is showing you that you can't codify it. We just had all these election laws up that don't even come close to touching that. This is basic. ID, purge the voter rolls of all the illegitimate voters, and put a signature verification on mail-in ballots, and we can't even get that a vote in the House to go to the Senate. So Thune says I'm too busy, or if we go to the talking filibuster, it's going to take too much time. I appreciate the fact we're working an executive order, and I think it's magnificent. But that executive order has so much more detail in it than what I just mentioned, and they won't even bring that up to a vote. President Trump still has to enforce his executive order. So one more time, and I got 30 seconds. Yes or no? Not an answer, just a yes or no. Doesn't President Trump, isn't he going to be forced to nationalize the 2026 election from the perspective of your group, sir?
100% yes.
Steve Stern, you're a good man. Where do people go right now? I want everybody on this call this afternoon. The Georgia guy is going to sit there. Your head's going to blow up, and these are facts. Where do they go, Steve?
Well, we're also going to be talking about calling you, just what you said, calling your senators to let them know that what we think. There will be people up there saying it. Go to Stern American, go to Getter, go to Rumble, go to OBBM Network. 150 podcasts will be streaming this. This is huge. I mean, I was in a meeting last week and a podcaster came up to me and says, please let me do this. I said, of course, we want all the podcasters to get a hold of me. Our next one's going to be March the 2nd at Trump International. Okay. It's going to be huge.
We'll deal with the next one the next time. Steve Stern, thank you so much. Appreciate you, sir. Short commercial break. We're going to return in the war room in just a moment.
Spread the word all through Hong Kong. We will fight till they're all gone. We rejoice when there's no more. Let's take down the CCP.
Full capital entry. Full capital entry.
steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history. For thousands of Americans, it was the moment their voices were taken.
It's insurrection.
They were persecuted, hunted,
Seditious conspiracy.
but behind prison walls, something unexpected happened. They found their voice again.
Started singing the national anthem.
We took it up to him at Mar-a-Lago. He goes, I'll put my voice on it.
Our supporters made this go platinum.
Real America's Voice is telling the real story of January 6th like you've never seen it before.
Everybody, this must be peaceful.
This is not the story you were shown.
I take responsibility.
This is the story they live.
Government entrapment scheme that this actually was.
The J6 Patriots are no longer staying silent. They are speaking, they are standing, and they are telling the truth.
You can't kill us. You can't beat us.
Scan the QR code or visit RealAmericasVoice.com. Real America's Voice presents The Sleeping Giant. Available now. Welcome to Real America's Voice Real Minute. Your quick look at the powerful stories of faith and freedom, inspiring audiences across the nation. Angel Studios presents.
I'm Bo Davidson with your Real America's Voice Real Minute. Did you ever wonder what truly happened in the COVID-19 pandemic and whether Anthony Fauci would ever be held accountable? I think we all have. Filmmaker Jenner First has an upcoming documentary that searches for truth, transparency, and accountability called Thank You, Dr. Fauci.
Governments lie.
Anthony Fauci put everyone on the planet at risk without their consent.
It's beyond suspicious.
Research caused a pandemic, killed 20 million, and cost $25 trillion. Fauci would prefer a lie.
Public trust, national health, and global security are at stake as this documentary digs through thousands of pages of documents and interviews with former officials.
Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
You know, Charlie Kirk had a way about him that he came across, and this is why people gravitated to him and people wanted to work with him. And Charlie had, even when he went in the Lion's Den on these college campuses, if you see his demeanor, and even when people were disagreeing with him and some of these kids asking the questions were mocking him, he always had a good demeanor, and he had this pleasant demeanor. Don't let that fool you that Charlie Kirk was one of the hardest, toughest people I ever met. This is how he built what he built. This is how he could do what he could do and keep that nice demeanor and have people want to work with him. And Charlie Kirk was a understood narrative warfare. He understood the fight we're on. So when we talk about this halftime show, they always want to do this alternative halftime show. This is not for frivolity. This is not about us having a good time. You saw at the Grammys the other night, and you've seen now, and MSNBC is talking about all these different sites that go after are about kittens and things are about knitting and have nothing to do with ICE and the mass deportations, are all turning and saying, if you support President Trump, or you support ICE, you can't come to our site anymore for kittens, or you can't come for the knitting circle, or you can't come to our book club. Charlie Kirk understood the power in this entire war, about the power of culture, and particularly middlebrow culture, pop culture. That is what this is about on Sunday. This is about an alternative way to view things and to try to cut them off at the past and dominating culture. And Charlie Kirk understood that to his core. And it's one of the reasons that Charlie Kirk was such a unique individual in this country's history. And for his age, did as much as anybody all the way back to Hamilton and Jefferson in our revolutionary generation in their 20s and 30s. Andrew Covett is the co-host of the Charlie Kirk Show. Andrew, take a couple of minutes. Once again, tell us what we're going to see on Sunday and how important it is to watch it, and where do we go to do it?
Yeah, and Steve, I just love what you said because you were reminded me of this moment. It was back in January, right around the inauguration in D.C., and I was sitting down with Charlie and a reporter, and the reporter asked Charlie, "Well, you just won the election. What next? What else do you want?" And Charlie, stone cold in his eyes, just said, "I want to win the culture. I want to win the culture." And you're absolutely right. We knew we were in a culture war. Charlie knew that we were in a culture war. And that is exactly why he spent so much time talking about the big game, right? Going back years, we found a tweet from 2014, Steve, with one like. It had one like, Steve, in 2014. And he was bemoaning the halftime performance, said, what, is clothing optional now for the halftime performance? And so that just shows kind of how deep this went for Charlie. Every year he couldn't help himself. He would end up going viral because he would tweet, something, some commentary about it. And so this is a full circle moment. This is a moment when you're talking about narrative warfare, when you're talking about giving real Americans in forgotten America something that they can get behind, that they can be supportive of, that they can sing the songs of. This is what it is. And Steve, just this morning, I saw some footage and some pictures from the rehearsals of this show, and it is going to be epic, absolutely epic. And these artists are all putting their heart and soul into this. They're all doing something special. They're all doing songs that you can sing. They're all doing songs that the whole family can get behind. Great music for great Americans. And, we're trying to serve a need. Kid Rock has been saying it. This is what there is a whole part of the country that has been underserved. But I'm saying bring on the hate watchers. If you think what we're doing is silly, fine. I dare you to hate watch it. Come hate watch this and try and find something you're not going to love about it, because it's going to be epic. There is some confusion about how people can watch it, so I want to make sure we address that. The show will be streamed live around 8 p.m. Eastern, February 8th. So right when the first half ends, just switch over to what we're doing. You're going to have your whole family gathered around already. Switch it over. Your friends, people you invite over. Think of this as an opportunity to win hearts and minds in your own family. So if you're going to be barbecuing, if you're going to be hosting people, bring some people that maybe would be a little bit that wouldn't be as drawn to this show as you might expect. This is going to be an opportunity for them to see something new and different. It's all part of this bigger story that we're telling, Steve. Yeah. So you can obviously check it out. Streaming, TPUSA YouTube, TPUSA X, TPUSA Rumble, all of the socials will be having it. So most TVs nowadays, you have a YouTube app. Okay. If you already are watching The War Room, where we are right now, watching Steve Bannon on Real America's Voice, you can watch it there. So you already know, this audience already knows how to get to it. But this is going to get clipped and shared on the internet, Steve, this interview right here. So I got to go through the rest of it. But please, sure. I love Rob and Parker Sig. They are the best. They were behind this from the jump. I want you to watch this on Real America's Voice. So do that. But there's also going to be on Sinclair Broadcast OTT channel Charge, on Samsung Plus, YouTube TV, Hulu, Sling, all the others. Daily Wire Plus, TBN. TBN is on a lot of TVs on traditional cable. Real America's Voice, of course, NTD, OAN. So you can get it on all of those different outlets. And by the way, it was interesting after we made the announcement, Steve. I look at this as the coalition of the willing kind of thing. Everybody that was willing to take a shot with us. We ran out of licenses because this is all controlled by performance rights and performance licenses. Yeah. So unfortunate. But after we made the announcement, of course, everybody came rushing and wanted to take the program. But this is the coalition of the willing. So support these guys, but most importantly, support Real America's Voice and what Rob and Parker Sig are doing. So we love it. Thank you, Steve.
Well, thank you, brother. We're going to do this again tonight and tomorrow and the next day. All over, we're going to have a massive audience for this. Andrew, we'll let you go get ready for the Charlie Kirk Show, of which you're the permanent co-host. We toss to you every day as we have for the last, 4 years or so. Watch it right here on Real America's Voice on halftime, the Super Bowl. This is narrative warfare. We're taking back the culture. Mike Lindell, we're going to do that with a damn good night's sleep because I got a topper and a mattress coming to me. Give me the special, sir.
Yeah, you guys, and this is it, you guys. This is going to be the last call the next day here for these mattress toppers. and the mattresses made in the USA, the technology. Call in right now or go to the website and check out the technology for the best sleep ever. You get it shipped free right to your front door. It's free shipping on your entire order. Change any bed into the best sleep ever. And go to mypillow.com/war room. Free shipping on your entire order, or call 800-873-1062. You guys, this is it. So take advantage of that. Remember, the mattress topper alone has over 10,000 individual comfort supports on the queen size alone. It takes care of your pressure points. Best sleep ever, 10-year warranty. And check out the technology. Go to the website now. Check it out. Promo code War Room. Free shipping. Promo code War Room.
The most powerful promo code out there, mypillow.com, promo code War Room. Get this special today, last day. Charlie Kirk show next. Post after that, we're back at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live in the War Room.
The radical left knows exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.